Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Bowmaster619 here. Another very beautiful day in colorful Colorado, though albeit a little warm. Anyway, as I was saying, it's a beautiful day. There's no way around it. It's hot. Summer's already hit. It is hot. But most importantly, today, what I would like to say is that today marks the 74th anniversary of D-Day. So yes, Aaron, you are correct. There we go. I completely agree. I enjoy history as well. Now, while unfortunately I can't tell you too terribly much about D-Day, as I didn't bother to do any kind of preemptive research before this live stream, I am actually working in Denver today, or at least I was working in Denver today. I'm heading home currently. I wanted to give a shout out there to our veterans and say thank you very much for your service and everything that you have done for us throughout the many years. Because let's be perfectly honest here. Do you really think mainstream media is actually going to mention that it is the anniversary of D-Day today? Call of Duty World War II. Don't think I ever actually played that one. I do remember playing Medal of Honor Rising Sun, as well as Medal of Honor European Assault, both great games that were on the GameCube, if that gives you any indication of just how long ago those games came out. But nonetheless, I enjoy both of them. The only thing that is a little annoying about European Assault versus Rising Sun is the simple fact that European Assault does not actually have bots that you can put in for the multiplayer mode, which kind of sucks, but, you know, what can you do? I do recall, however, that when it came to D-Day, it was essentially kind of the perfect storm. I do remember that the British intelligence was doing everything in their power to make it look like they were going to be attacking a different section of the coast, when in reality they were going to be hitting the shores of Normandy. And D-Day actually almost didn't happen, because for those of you that know, in order to get to Normandy, you have to cross the English Channel, which is very notorious for being extremely violent in weather patterns and waves and things of that sort. And the weather almost didn't permit D-Day to actually happen because there was a massive storm that was brewing, and it broke just long enough for the invasion to actually take place. A lot of people consider D-Day to be the turning point for the war, primarily on the European front, obviously. And there's not much else that I can say on it. Like I said, I didn't do terribly much preemptive research beforehand, so there isn't much more I can say, unfortunately. But primarily, I just wanted to give a nice shout out to all of our veterans out there, and, you know, there you go. A few other YouTubers I noticed did actually mention the fact that today is the anniversary. Thank you. I try to honor our veterans and our military when I can, because let's be perfectly honest, if it wasn't for them, our country wouldn't exist. And that's just the bottom line. They're not the only ones to thank, obviously, but it's mostly because of them that we still have the liberties and freedoms that we have today. Which is exactly why I am working on being able to get into the system where I live, to be able to give back to the I just had a major brain fart here. I can't think of it's not coming to me. The phrase essentially to cover the police, firemen, National Guard, Sheriff's Department, all those areas. I'm just having a complete blank on what that terminology is for that, what encompasses all of that. But where I live is actually fairly convenient for that, because we have the Sheriff's Department, we have the local police department, we have fire department, and we also have the National Guard, all in the same area. So at present, I'm working on trying to get some kind of a contract, essentially, worked up, so at bare minimum once a month, I can go to each one of these different locations and do chair massage for the different service workers. I don't even know if that's the proper term, and I apologize if that is offensive at all to anyone who works in that field. But again, my brain is not functioning properly at the moment, so I can't even think of what the proper terminology is. But that's future plans, and that's what hopefully will happen. Interestingly enough, bit of a diversion here. I actually had a dream last night that, of all things, I was a sniper in World War II against the Nazis. I don't know where the heck that idea even came from, but that's literally what my dream was last night, or at least part of it. We were probably, I don't even know where we are, but we were in some city with large concrete and brick buildings and such, and they had somehow ousted the Nazis out of a particular building, and I just happened to be in perfect position to start sniping them as they came out of the building. And it was extremely accurate too, for whatever reason. I mean, I'm a bit of a firearms expert to begin with, so there's not much surprise there, but funny enough, it included stripper clips and everything. 5 shots down, pull out the stripper clip, put it back in, pop it out, and then keep going. It's 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Nazis, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little Nazis. It was weird. And then I wake up and find out that today is actually the anniversary for D-Day. It's like, okay, my sixth sense working in overdrive again. I like stripper clips, and the heck did I just come to hear? Stripper clips is a terminology that was very big back during the Second World War and the First World War as well. And essentially, it's a small strip of copper that has an indeterminate amount of shells in it, depending on what type of firearm you were issued. For example, if you were issued the Springfield or the Lee Enfield, it would have around a 5-round clip that you could essentially pop down onto the loading mechanism and then push the bullets into the action itself. And they are most well known for being, which those were 8-round stripper clips, and the most notorious about the M1 Garand was that nice little ping sound whenever you loaded it, and the action would go back into place and pop the stripper clip back out. But to answer your question as to what led up to me talking about stripper clips, I actually had a dream last night, for whatever reason, that I was a sniper in World War II. And for whatever reason, the dream was extremely accurate in that regard. So, there you go. Interesting indeed. Ooh, thread the needle, thread the needle. I was a freaking deadeye in that dream. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm already a fairly good marksman, typically, but as you can imagine, in the dream realm, obviously you're far better than in reality. Plus, I had good reason to aim properly, right? Oh, fudge horrific, my neck is sore. Okay, you stay where you're supposed to stay. Hat, stop trying to fall around. So currently, not that this really has any kind of bearing on the live stream or anything like that, but just as a kind of an interesting little FYI factoid, I'm actually heading to Cabela's right now to see if they have a particular kind of compact that I am thinking of purchasing in the near future when I get enough points earned up. So far, I have not been able to find any kind of a combo pack for it on the website, but I'm going to see if maybe they have a deeper knowledge of their own inventory than I do. So, we'll see. And if I do manage to purchase it, then I will gladly feature it here on this channel for educational purposes, of course. But we'll see where it goes from there. Speaking of military and history, though, and speaking in direct connection with what I was just talking about, actually, I believe I mentioned this in a past live stream, but it never hurts to reiterate certain things. One little fact I bet a lot of you out there didn't know of the Lewis and Clark expedition was that they actually brought a big bore air gun on their excursion across the United States. Now, obviously the primary weapon at that time was the flintlock musket, or in some cases the flintlock rifle, which is a good tool for obvious reasons. It's what they had at the time. It was more or less reliable if the powder got wet, thus where they coined the term keep your powder dry. But what was essentially their secret weapon was actually the Girardoni air gun that was in the Austria-Hungary military for about 8 years, I believe. And what's interesting about the Girardoni is the fact that, besides the fact that it was an air gun, it was actually a repeater as well. It had a tubular magazine on the side, which held up to 24 rounds, I believe, 22 or 24 round balls, which you simply had to lean the rifle back, put one into place with a small lever, cock back the hammer, and then shoot. It was easily accurate up to 100 yards, deadly at up to 100 yards, and they said that you could go for up to about 60 shots before you needed to trade out the air tanks. And the air tank itself was actually the buttstock of the rifle. And I don't think rifle is even an accurate term for the Girardoni. I think it was smoothbore. It's been a while since I've actually done any research on the Girardoni, but if you want any more information, just go ahead and look it up online. It is actually a very interesting piece to study. They have made a few different reproductions over the years of it, but it was thanks to that particular gun that they were able to traverse across the United States virtually unmolested by local tribes in the area. And that's because every time they encountered a tribe of the area, they would bring out the Girardoni and do a demonstration of it and show not only how quiet it was, but the fact that it was a repeater and how accurate it was up to 100 yards, because most of the tribes at that time were familiar with the flintlock rifles and the flintlock muskets. They knew those, obviously, because they'd fought them several times. But the idea of having a tool that was accurate up to 100 yards, was quiet, and a repeater, meant that essentially 5 gunmen equipped with those particular guns would have the same effective fighting force as an entire army. And because of the fact that they made certain that no tribes ever saw the interior of their cargo train, the Indians had no idea how many, pardon me, the Native Americans, had absolutely no idea just how many of those Gyaradonis they had. Which I honestly can't even remember how many of those they had. But, point being, if you were a tribe that had no idea what was in their storage train that they were moving across the country, and you just saw a demonstration of a magic weapon, so to speak, that was capable of that kind of power, would you really want to try and challenge that small group, no matter how small they were? I know personally I wouldn't. So there's another little tidbit of information. Yeah, expect delays. Doi. Oh, crash north on, I missed it. North of 128th, okay. Oh, great, this lane ends, I need to get over. Okay, dude, your turn signal is on. Are you gonna get over or not? Rush hour traffic sucks. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a shout out to all of our veterans out there in our active military in remembrance of the 74th anniversary of D-Day. There's also a little tidbit of historical information about the Lewis and Clark expedition, revisited, because I'm pretty sure I mentioned something about that in a previous live stream. For now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, simply so I can concentrate on the road and get myself. Until next time, this is Bowmaster619 out. As always, drive safe, stay safe, never stop learning, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.